This is case number 40 on the calendar in the matter of Dickinson versus Irwin. President, you're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat, please.
Miss Dickinson, Miss Irwin is your boyfriend's mother.
Yes.
I assume this is the boyfriend.
Yes, he is.
How long have you been his girlfriend?
We're actually broken up right now. We were dating for about a month.
Not dating anymore?
No.
Any particular reason?
We were good friends and I didn't want to ruin our friendship.
It is your complaint that Mrs. Irwin, for no good reason, broke your cell phone.
Yes, she did.
And you want her to pay for it.
Yes.
And Miss Irwin says you were an uninvited guest in her home, and that precipitated this incident with the cell phone. So why don't you tell me when this happened?
This happened in February the 21st. Ryan and I were dating at the time. We had gotten back to his house and we were watching TV, relaxing.
Where were you watching TV?
Up in his living room. And Bernice came home.
Bernice, that's you.
Yes. And she came home yelling and freaking out on Ryan. She began to yell at him even more and put him down.
What was she saying?
You're a loser, you're good for nothing. And then she began to hit him, smack him in the face.
What did he say to her?
Nothing. Nothing was really said. She was just like, you're a loser. And Ryan was just simply not saying anything because I was present. And when she came into the living room, she was yelling at me. And then she had hit Ryan across the face. And then she did it a few more times. And I told her that if she had kept hitting him, that I was going to call the cops because I did not feel comfortable whatsoever. She looked at me and said, I'll do whatever I want. This is my house. Hit him again, and that's when I had called for police assistance.
Okay, so you used your cell phone to call the police?
Yes, I did.
Okay, what happened next?
When I was on the phone with the police, she was still yelling at Ryan, and they got it on tape and everything like that. And I had said I need police assistance to this address. And then she had noticed I was on the phone with the cops, and then she had attacked me. And I have pictures here of the bruises from when she grabbed my arm and my wrist.
Is that when your phone was broken?
Yes.
Well, tell me how it got broken, Miss Dickinson.
I was on the phone, and she had grabbed my arm, and then she was fighting with me. I was telling her to let go of me, not to touch me. And then she grabbed the top half of my cell phone and snapped it off, and opened her front door and threw it outside in the snow.
Okay, now I'll see the police report, please.
Okay. I also have pictures of the bruises. Would you like to see them?
Yes.
And there's also pictures of my cell phone in there.
Is this the only police report that you have?
Yes, there was no police report written. It was just a log entry.
Okay. Step up, please. Your first name is Ryan? Mm-hmm. How old are you, Ryan?
18.
You're not living in your mother's home anymore, is that right?
Yes.
Who are you living with now?
I'm staying with friends now.
How long has it been since you haven't been getting along with your mother?
As long as I can remember.
When did you ultimately move out of the house?
She kicked me out a couple weeks ago after she got arrested for domestic assault on me.
Why don't you get along with your mother?
Because she's crazy.
I also have the police log from her arrest, if you'd like to see that.
I would. Are you going to school, Ryan?
No, not right now.
You working?
No, not currently.
How are you supporting yourself?
I really haven't been.
Okay. All right, Miss Irwin, what kind of work do you do?
I'm a store manager.
Were you working on the 21st of February?
I was.
What were your hours of employment?
On that particular day, I worked till about 6 p.m.
Did you go directly from the store home?
I did not.
Where did you go?
I went to a friend's house and then I came home.
What time did you get home?
Approximately 7 to 7:30 p.m.
And you came home and you found your son and his girlfriend watching television?
They were in my living room. My house was a total disaster. Ryan was not allowed to have any guests at my home without my permission, which he continued to do so, and I was quite angry.
Had you ever met this young lady before?
Once or twice, yes.
Where?
One time at my house, and another time she was leaving my house for a few minutes. That was it.
You never had any problem with her?
No, I didn't.
So what happened when you came home on the 21st?
I'd asked Ryan why he had a guest in my home. We'd had many problems in the past with him having company, and I told him he was not allowed to have anybody in my home without my permission. Ryan got very angry at me and started swearing, cursing, calling me several names. He then spit in my face, literally, and I slapped him across the face once. At that point, Jamie had gotten off my sofa and started calling me names that I will not even repeat, and I asked them to leave my house. They refused.
Shh. Yes?
She did say, threatened she was going to call the police. I at that time told her if indeed she called the police, my son probably would have been arrested because he was on probation.
For what?
Numerous things, assault and battery, disturbing the peace. He was on probation for assault and battery on a police officer.
That's serious stuff.
It had
Ryan?
been serious stuff.
That's serious stuff?
Yes.
Okay, so she called the police.
Yeah, I didn't know she was on the phone. I had just got done telling her if indeed she called the police.
There was a lot of screaming going around, so
Yes, there was.
Everybody was screaming. I want to know how her phone got broken.
She got on the phone with somebody, I'm not sure who, saying that I was abusing my son, which was not true.
That was with the police.
My son had just spit in my face, and I did slap him across the face after he had called me several vulgar names. One time I did slap him across the face. Yes, I did. He
I want to
deserved
know
it.
how her phone got broken.
Well, she was on the phone, and I, at that point, once again told her, if you want to make a phone call, go outside. I need you to get out of my house. And she refused to leave, so I took the phone out of her hand. And as far as I know, it was the top part of her cell phone that did snap off. And at that point, I threw it outside to make them leave my house. I'd asked them several times to leave.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Jamie Dickinson says her ex-boyfriend's mother owes for breaking her cell phone. Bernice Irwin claims Jamie was trespassing on her property.
Okay. There are a couple of things that I don't quite understand, Miss Irwin, and I think that probably you would have been more prudent if when you came home and found Ryan there watching television with his girlfriend, you waited until she left and then confronted him. As far as I've heard, they weren't doing anything untoward. They were sitting and watching television in your living room. So when you came home and started to go off on him in front of his girlfriend, especially a kid that you'd had trouble with and that clearly has a temper, that probably wasn't the most prudent thing to do. And then there was a lot of yelling and screaming. However, Miss Dickinson was an invited guest to your home. She was invited by your son, who lives there, or did then. And whatever argument you were having with your son, and I'm not going to get into slapping him in the face or screaming or yelling or bad names, I'm not getting into that. The only thing that's before me is whether you're responsible to buy her a new cell phone. I believe her when she says that she told you she was going to call the police, and I believe you knew she was calling the police because that's what she said she was going to do. And at that time, if you grabbed her by the arm and grabbed her cell phone and snapped it off and then threw it outside, you're responsible to buy her a new cell phone. It seems to me that there was an altercation in your home and it was getting out of hand. It was a good thing that she was calling the police. So why would you be angry? So, how much was the cell phone?
It is $199.99. I have the paper from the website singular.com.
Okay, can I see it, please? And the cell phone. Who is this person?
Carol, a friend of mine.
Was she there that evening?
She wasn't there that evening.
Okay. This is one of these cute little phones that takes pictures?
No, it doesn't.
Oh, doesn't take pictures. Okay, that's all you're suing for, the cost of the cell phone. Anything else you want to tell me?
No, that about covers everything. I just
What do you do for a living, Miss Dickinson?
I babysit, and I used to work at CVS. I had just quit my job, though, because I'm still in high school, and I'm graduating this year, so it was kind of hard doing both.
Have you ever been in trouble with the law?
Nope, never.
He has been.
I understand that.
Lots of times. Set your sights a little higher. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I have a
Don't
new
say
boyfriend.
anything, Ryan. You've got a little ways to go to get your act together, young man. Somebody who's 18 years old, who's not going to school, who's not working, who's not supporting themselves, who's got an arrest history, according to your mother, that's lengthy, is not going down the right path. The yellow brick road is eluding you, Ryan. You're going to have to find it. Otherwise, you're going to be dead by the time you're 30. That would be a shame, right? Be smart. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $199. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Horn Torres versus Cunningham. Step forward, please.
25-year-old homemaker Deanna Horn Torres is suing dog trainer Brian Cunningham for injuring her dog Buster during a session. Brian says he did nothing out of the ordinary.
Miss Torres?
Yes.
And this is Buster.
Yes.
And Buster was behaving badly. How old is Buster?
He's 4 months.
Where did you get him?
We got him from a breeder.
What kind of dog is he?
He's a boxer.
Did the breeder tell you that boxers are hard to train?
No, she didn't.
Is he hard to train?
He's doing better, but he is a little difficult. Yes, he is.
Doesn't look interested in what's going on here, I'll tell you that right now. Well, according to what your complaint states, because you were having some difficulty in training Buster on your own, you asked your vet for a recommendation.
Yes.
Had you used this vet before?
Yes.
You think that the vet that you used is a good one?
Yes.
And your vet recommended Mr. Cunningham
Yes.
and said he was a good dog trainer.
Yes.
You made an agreement with him. I think his whole fee was $525, and you paid him, and it is your claim that he hurt your dog during the training sessions and you want a full refund.
Yes.
The $525 that you paid Mr. Cunningham was for how many sessions?
He didn't give me an amount. He said he would come to my house until I was completely satisfied. He didn't tell
Is that
me
what
how
you
long
said?
it would take.
I offer everybody. It's a 6-week course or until the dog is completely trained.
What kind of train? You mean potty trained, crate trained?
Housebreaking, chewing, digging, obedience is how we do it.
What if you get a really dumb dog?
There aren't really very many dumb dogs. It's just folks, you've got to follow up with the instruction I give you.
They're not stubborn dogs.
Very stubborn sometimes. Buster's a stubborn dog. There's no doubt about it.
I have a very stubborn dog. But she has to be very, very well trained.
That's good.
All right, Ms. Torres, tell me what happened.
He had came 3 times to my house. The first day, everything went fine. The second time he came, there was a pink mark around the dog's neck, and he told me it was because the dog was a white dog and it would go away. And it did. Within 2 hours, it was gone. And so the next time he came, the dog ran under the bed to hide. Well, whenever he came out...
That's all right. You can leave him alone. He's fine.
As soon as he put the collar around the dog's neck, the dog snapped at him. And so when he was being rough with him, we asked him, why are you being so rough? And he said that he had to do it to keep him from snapping at people. So we said, okay, well,
You mean the
Buster.
dog bit the inside of his mouth?
Yes. And so at that time, we ended the session. He took the collar off the dog, and the dog ran underneath the bed. And when I went to the dog, I had noticed the injuries that I do have pictures of. And my husband talked to Brian later on the phone and told Brian that we didn't want his services anymore. We couldn't have him abuse our dog.
Okay, so let me see the photographs that you took. Okay, Mr. Cunningham, I'll hear you.
Your Honor, I've been training dogs for 17 years. I have 2 witnesses to tell you what kind of trainer I am.
Tell me your name.
Barbara Buquay.
Step up, please. Are you just a satisfied customer?
Oh, I'm absolutely satisfied.
What kind of dog do you have?
I have a Maltese, Sophie.
Little one.
She's very small, yes. She's about 5 pounds.
Does she bark?
Well, actually, she does not bark. No, not usually.
Good.
Yes, I know. I'm so happy with her, and I'm so happy with Brian.
Okay. You, sir?
My name is Victor McDougall, and Brian has trained 2 dogs for me. The first one was Tara, and she had a little problem with liking to chew on furniture and stuff. And Brian helped me train her and get her out of that. And most people would tell me that, boy, I wish my kids listened as well as my dog. So, yeah, so that's always good to hear.
Okay. Have a seat. So this is my problem, Mr. Cunningham. I believe that you are a good dog trainer.
Thank you.
And I believe that because their vet that they have tremendous confidence in recommended you.
Yes.
And you bring 2 witnesses who I have no reason to doubt that say that you've been wonderful with their animals. This didn't work out. Whether you pulled a little too hard, whether the dog bruises easily, I don't know what happened. But these people did not cause this injury to the dog. I can understand they're being upset. Does it sound like you're losing yet, sir?
No, it doesn't.
Good, perfect. Would you give these to Mr. Cunningham, please? We have to know when to...
Okay.
Take them back now, please. Now, you have a whole bunch of satisfied customers. And I don't think that, based upon what these people tell me, that this is standard fare for you, because otherwise their vet would not have recommended you, and you have satisfied customers. So if these people are not satisfied, you should have given them back their money and said, in 17 years, I never had this kind of problem. I don't want this kind of problem now. My time is too valuable.
Your Honor,
Yes,
if I
Mr.
may,
Cunningham.
I believe that I should be paid for my time. If I
Well-
show up 4 times and they refuse to accept any of my, I understand that. The dog, you know what, here's the thing, had they been working the dog every week, only 10 minutes a day, that would not have been the case
Mr. Cunningham,
ever.
you know how kind I was just being to you before, a moment ago? I was being kind to you because like 10 million people are going to watch this. A lot of them have dogs. So I was trying to be kind and say, you're a wonderful dog trainer.
Well, I am.
This was an aberration. You should have just said, I'm going to return your money, and that's it. But since you don't seem to get it, what I'm going to tell you is this, sir. If you went to their house first time and then came back for the next session and you found that they weren't following your direction,
Yes.
at that point you could have said, just a minute, I can't work this way. I'm not going to treat this dog in any way
didn't
that's
treat the
in any
dog
way
any rougher.
in any way that's rough, that's going to leave this kind of bruising. Here's your money back, not the fourth time you came to the house, but the second time you came to the house and said, I can't work with you people. I could work with that dog, but I can't work with you. So here's your money back. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $525. Clearly, this dog is not intimidated by anything, not even my voice.
No, ma'am.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Soyak versus Holloway. Step forward, please.
Limousine driver James Soyak is suing former client, business owner Tim Holloway, for an unpaid hotel bill. James says Tim is a scammer.
Mr. Holloway, how old are you, sir?
33.
What kind of work do you do, sir?
I have a maintenance company.
How long have you had it?
My dad had it since '59. I took it over about 3 years ago.
He's no longer involved in the business.
Sometimes, yeah.
So he still goes into the office
Correct.
on a daily basis?
2 or 3 times a week.
Are you making this up as we're going along, sir?
No.
Are you trying to give me accurate answers? Because you never can tell why I'm asking you these questions.
Correct.
Now, do you live alone or do you live with someone else?
I live with my fiance.
Did you move into her place or did you move in someplace together?
Together.
When?
2 years ago.
What's the address?
North Wilson.
How large an apartment is it?
It's a condo. 2 bedrooms, 2 baths.
Are you renting or did you buy it?
We're renting that.
Are you both on the lease?
Yes.
It's like shooting fish in a barrel. Now, Mr. Soyak, you drive a limousine.
Yes, ma'am.
And your complaint is that you drove Mr. Holloway in your limousine to a casino, hotel.
Yes.
And he told you that he'd forgotten his wallet and he needed a hotel room. So you agreed to put the hotel room on your credit card.
Yes, ma'am.
That's not true.
He used the room and then stiffed you for the reimbursement.
I rented 2 rooms for him, $99 each.
In addition, he didn't have his wallet, so he said he needed some money. You gave him cash. He gave you a check
Yes, ma'am.
for $300. The check bounced.
Yes.
That's
So-
not true.
What's not true, sir?
The room, not a check.
Let's talk about the check.
Okay.
Let me hear.
I gave him a check. Me and my fiance was having problems at the house. I couldn't get to what I need to get to the bank. I owe him for the $300, but the hotel room, it never
Now,
happened.
okay, now, Mr. Holloway, your last paragraph of your answer, which you swore to, sir, says, I did give him a check for $300, which was returned. I explained that I had just moved and was having problems with my bank account.
I did just move.
No, just a second. I explained that I had just moved.
Same thing I just said.
No,
I was having
that's
problems with
not. Mr. Holloway, let me understand something, sir. No more than 5 minutes ago, I said to you, where do you live? You gave me the address. Who do you live with? I live with my fiance. How long have you lived there in the condo? 2 years. Did you sign a lease? Yes.
That's what I said, but I just moved. If we was having problems, evidently I had to leave because we was having problems. So I did leave. Now when we reconciled, that's one thing, but I did leave. So what I told you is the truth.
Can I see the bills for the 2 rooms, please? Mr. Soyak, how long have you been driving a limousine?
10 years.
Okay. You ever had this kind of trouble?
Never.
Mr. Soyak, let me explain something to you. Don't be an idiot. You don't take out your credit card, allow somebody to put money on your credit card. You don't take checks
Yes,
from people
ma'am.
you don't
You're
know.
absolutely right. Now,
Good.
it'll never
Can I have
happen
it,
again.
please? The rooms you rented for $99, but he certainly did a lot more damage than the $99.
He drank everything in the bar. Plus movies, plus phone calls.
I never went in the room.
Okay. You owe him a whole bunch of money, sir. You owe him for these 2 hotel rooms. Who else was with you? Who else was with him, Mr. Soyak?
He found a couple of young gentlemen. They were walking the street while we were in Old Town, Pasadena. And he claimed he's a music producer. And I don't know how he knew these guys can sing, but he made friends with them and invited them later to be picked up in the car. And we drove them also to the Commerce Casino. He didn't want the other two men to sleep in the same room as him, so he wanted me to get a separate room for them.
That's a lie. That never happened.
It's not a lie because I have my witnesses
Mr. Holloway,
here.
Mr. Holloway.
I have my witnesses here. My other driver that picked him up Sunday.
So you dropped him off and somebody else picked him up?
Yes.
Who picked him up?
Richard, he's my co-driver.
Step up, sir. Your last name?
Thompson.
Where did you pick Mr. Holloway up?
Commerce Casino.
Who else was with him?
2 other gentlemen, like young, like 2 20-year-olds or something like that.
Maybe that's what you were fighting with your fiance about. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,113. That's all. Step out.
Thank you.
That's case number 10 on the calendar in the matter of Selby versus Burke. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated, sir. Have a seat, please.
Mr. Selby, the defendant is your former girlfriend. You have a child together, and it is your claim that she filed 2 cases against you for domestic violence, both of which were false. One she dropped, the next one she pursued. You were found not guilty, and you are suing her for those false charges. Ms. Burke says that you did, in fact, put your hands on her in a violent manner on both of those occasions, which is why she called the police.
Yeah.
How old is your child?
He's almost 2.
Do you have an order declaring you to be the father of this child?
No.
Why not?
My name's not on the birth certificate because she was married when my son was born, and I'm not legally considered the father.
He is. He went to court and said that he was the father in my divorce.
Okay. Well, he may have gone to say he was the father in your divorce, but has there been an adjudication of paternity in any court?
No, ma'am.
Oh, you are, sir. Listen to me very carefully. I have a surprise for you. You're going to be very happy to hear this. It says the third-party defendant, that was you, Jason Selby, that is your name, is it not?
Correct.
Is hereby established as the biological father of the minor child, Brendan Selby.
Okay.
We're going to get you a copy of this, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
You are the father. You have certain rights and certain responsibilities, Mr. Selby. It's interesting when I read your case, when I read your complaint, the defendant is now living in another area, so you haven't been seeing your son. How old was your son when you two separated?
It was about 1.5 years.
Okay. Now, Ms. Burke, I'm coming to you. When was the first instance of domestic violence which was the subject of a restraining order that you placed upon Mr. Selby?
September.
Okay. Tell me what happened in September of 2004.
He came.
Who was this, by the way?
This is the guy that used to live up front, our neighbor, Robert Minion.
And what is he now?
A witness to both.
Okay. This is not the boyfriend that he talks about, is that right?
It's not the boyfriend. He's never been my boyfriend.
But he came with you to court?
Right.
And you live in Florida?
Right.
And he flew with you from Florida?
Right.
Did you
Yes.
stay together last night in the same place?
They wouldn't give us 2 separate hotel rooms.
I'm just asking you a question.
Yes.
Okay. I never stayed in the same hotel room with a neighbor when I traveled.
I asked, and they said that there was going to be at least 2 separate beds, because I asked her about that, about getting 2 separate hotel rooms.
You think I believe you? I don't. Let's move on. September 2004.
He came to the house, and we were arguing about Brendan, our son. I went into the room, and I was packing my stuff and putting it in a bag.
Just a second. So this was a place that you lived together? Mm-hmm. So he didn't come to your house?
He moved out. He had moved out when...
When had he moved out?
Maybe 2 days before that, because he had found a letter, and he went through my stuff. And
A letter from whom?
Me. It was stuff that I wrote about my feelings, about him and the way he treated me.
Okay.
And
so he moved out?
He packed his stuff, yes, and left and went to his aunt's house, I believe.
Keep going.
And he pushed me back because I went to try to go around him in the bedroom to leave, and I told him to leave me alone and to let me go.
Well, what did he do?
He kept pushing me back.
That's not what you said in here. You said he pushed you once.
He kept trying to stop me from going.
Don't make things up as we're going along, Miss Burke. You said in your answer that he pushed you one time, not kept pushing you. Now, which one was it? Did he push you one time, as you swore to in your complaint, or did he push you multiple times, as you just told me?
He did push me one time, but he kept, like, holding, like, where I couldn't get around him. He would move over to the side to where I couldn't get around him. When I did
blocking, not pushing.
Right.
Go ahead.
Before I had gotten to the car is when he had shoved me from behind. We fell into the car. He wouldn't let me get into the car, and that's when Robert had called the police.
You have a police report?
Not with me, no.
Do you?
Yes.
I'd like to see it, please. All right, Mr. Selby, you want to tell me what happened on September 9th, please?
Can I start from September 8th?
If it's absolutely necessary. If it's not necessary, it's just going to irritate me.
September 8th, I was at work with her son Tyler because there were hurricanes, the schools were closed. When she came to pick me up from work, she brought Robert with her to pick me up from work. We went home.
On September 8th?
Correct. She left with Robert for approximately 2 hours. I knew she wrote that 19-page letter, so I went looking for it, and it confirmed they were together. She has since got her hands on it and destroyed it. There were police called that night because
Why?
he threatened me that he was going to beat me up. Then he called the police because I was on his property, which it was like 2 places on 1 piece of land. The police came out and they escorted her off the property with the kids. September 9th, I found out she was packing not her stuff, but everything, my stuff, which I still don't have today. I never went into the bedroom where they said I pushed her. I was never in there. I was in the living room the whole time. I went to leave, get into my aunt and uncle's car. She ran to the car. I raced her to the car. I beat her to the car. No one fell. There were no tripping.
Why was she running to the car?
To take it.
Go ahead.
When I got in the car, Robert ran over on the phone, said he witnessed me hit her. I did it. I asked to speak to the cop. He wouldn't let me get on the phone.
Okay. Why did you drop that case?
Because Jason, we were going to try to reconcile and get back together, and he had told me that he was going to go to counseling, which I believe he did in fact go in January.
Counseling for what?
For being abusive mentally and physically, because September was not the first time that he has actually been in trouble for hitting me.
So you dropped those charges in September.
Right.
And when was the next time you filed an application for a restraining order?
February 3rd.
What was that about?
I got a call from my babysitter that I needed to call H&R Block, so I called them, and they said that my income tax had been denied because my children's Social Security numbers had come back that they were already claimed.
Did you claim both boys?
No, just Brendan.
Just
I got it
Brendan.
right here.
Okay.
It was my understanding that he claimed both the children.
So you were mistaken.
Right.
So what did you do?
So I called him, and I told him that I was going to come over, and I went over to his house.
With whom?
With Robert.
Big mistake.
Right.
Big.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Jason Selby says on 2 occasions, ex-girlfriend Anne Marie Burke had him falsely arrested for domestic violence.
So here's what we have, Ms. Burke. We have your husband who, according to the police report back in September, was of the belief that you were having an affair with Robert.
Right.
That's all over the police report. Whether you were or whether you weren't, I don't have to get into now. That's not my business. Quite frankly, I don't care. The fact that you shared a room together last night is some indication to me that you're more than just friendly neighbors. However, you knew that he was harboring that belief, so to bring Robert to his house was a large mistake.
Well, the only reason why I brought Robert was because he's the only one that I had as far as a male figure, because I am afraid of Jason.
Then you shouldn't have gone to his house. What do you think you were going to accomplish going to his house as opposed to asking him on the telephone what happened?
I couldn't ask him on the telephone because his phone was breaking up.
Put your hand down. This was an emergency situation that you had to go over with him that day?
I was upset.
You were
I
angry.
wanted to talk to him.
Just a minute. You were angry.
Yes, ma'am.
So, you were angry and you called Robert to go over with you.
Right.
What happened when you got there?
I went up the stairs.
And where was Robert?
Sitting in the car.
Go ahead.
And I was going up the stairs and I asked him, why did he do that? I said, I'm trying to get money to get...
Sir, going up the stairs, I didn't hear him at the door.
He was outside. When we pulled up, he was standing outside smoking, and we could see him the way his house is. There's stairs that go up this way, and you got to go around.
So you're going up the stairs, and as you're going up the stairs, what are you saying to him?
I asked him why he was, why did he claim the kids?
That doesn't sound right to me, madam. You were asking him in the same kind of voice you were asking me?
No, I was angry. I wasn't yelling and screaming, but I was talking a lot louder than what I am now.
I assumed you were. Go ahead.
And I told him, I said, that's not right that you claim Tyler. It's not right that, I said, you haven't paid child support. You haven't come to see your kid. And I said, you can at least let me claim the kids. I'm trying to make it on my own.
You weren't having this whole discussion as you're walking upstairs, madam. That doesn't sound logical. If it doesn't sound logical, it's not true.
By the time I was steadily talking.
I know what you're thinking, but that's not what you were saying to him as you were walking upstairs furious because you had just gotten the call from H&R Block, and the first person you called was Robert. How tall are you, Robert?
6 foot.
Yeah. Called Robert to come over with you. Okay. So you're walking up the stairs screaming. Go ahead.
I get around the corner, and we start talking, arguing. I told him that he's not a good father. We started arguing about that, about him not being a good dad and him not coming to see Brendan. I did tell him that he was stupid, and he asked me, because I had called the IRS and found out that he can't legally claim Tyler. And that's what I told him. He was for. And
No, you just said you was, because I called the IRS.
right.
You didn't go through this whole explanation. You just said, listen to me. Don't make things up as you're going along. I can tell I have a truth meter back here. When somebody is giving me the business, my left eye starts to twitch. You got it? So you told him because you called the IRS.
Right.
Okay. And what happened next, Miss Burke?
I again told him that he was a bad father, and that's when he had smacked me in my eye. And he went in the house. I went running down the steps and got in the car, and I left.
Can I see the police report, please?
Yes.
Incident number 2. Did you seek medical treatment?
No.
Can I clarify that day? First, on January 24th, I called her because she told me she moved to South Florida and she was living with her brother in South Florida. Up until February 3rd, that's where I thought she was living. She told me if I tried to call down there to be in my son's life, she was going to get me in trouble for harassment. So I called the police to verify that. They said she could say whatever she wants, but it would be...
Can we get to, please, to February 3rd?
February 3rd, I spoke to a family lawyer and the county courthouse. I couldn't file anything because I didn't know her address. That night, I got home from work. I was playing PlayStation, got a phone call on my cell phone, answered it, and there was low signal, and it didn't come in. She called back about 2 minutes later. She said, "Good, you're home, I'm coming over," and hung up on me. She pulled up. I was standing on the balcony. She got out of the car, and her first words were, "You're an effing thief."
Go ahead.
So I went right in the house, I shut the screen door, and we were separated the whole time by a screen door. Robert, I didn't know he was there until I got the copy of the police report. I never once saw him there. I called the police the minute she said, "You're," and she left. Called the police, explained that she falsified a report once before. I don't want to be in trouble. They assured me I wouldn't be in trouble. Police officer showed up at my door, told me that I was accused of hitting her, and I basically ended up going to jail.
How long?
For overnight.
What I don't understand, Miss Burke, is this. You testified a moment ago that you were afraid of this man, that he had been abusive to you. So I don't understand why you went over to his house.
Because I didn't think that having somebody with me that he would do anything. I didn't think that he would do that.
The person that you brought with you was sitting, according to you, in the car.
Right.
And the first words out of your mouth were what?
I told him he was a thief. I didn't...
No. You told him he was a blank thief.
No, I didn't say that. I did not say that. I told him he was a thief.
Okay. So the first thing that you said to him was, "You're a thief," as you were walking up the stairs.
Yes.
You were angry, agitated. Did you think that that was going to provoke him? Especially since you were wrong.
You're right.
And you think that if you hadn't gone over there to this person that you were really afraid of, that all this would have happened?
I didn't honestly think that he would do something with somebody there, because when we did pull up, he was leaning, smoking a cigarette out over the...
Well, what did you intend to accomplish, Miss Burke? He had already claimed your son, you thought 2 sons, but he had already claimed your son on his tax returns. That was done.
I thought that he would help.
You thought that he would help, and your first statement to him was, "You're a thief"? That's the way you wanted to start this exchange, this friendly exchange? Now, Mr. Selby, have you ever exercised poor judgment with regard to Miss Burke?
Yeah, meeting her, unfortunately.
Well, I'm not talking about just meeting. I'm talking about other things. Have you ever exercised poor judgment?
Yes.
And have you ever exercised poor judgment when the police weren't called?
Probably.
The primary thrust of your complaint here is that you were embarrassed.
For the defamation of character.
Right. I can understand that that happened. And I think that you deserve to be compensated for that, because I don't believe that you hit her.
Thank you.
And clearly neither did a court. If you ever want to have a relationship with this child, it's your responsibility to go into court immediately and seek an order of visitation and be prepared to enter into an order of support for your son. She didn't move out of state, but she moved away from where the 2 of you were living. Certainly, you wouldn't like it if he took the child, would you?
I actually set up dates for him to come see his son.
How far away did you move?
Like 10 minutes. I only live like 10 minutes away from him. And
then what are you complaining about, Mr. Selby?
To this day, I don't know where she lives.
He's always known where I lived, and he knows my phone number. It's never changed.
Easy. If you say he knows where you live, where do you live?
My new address is 216 Street.
When did you move there?
Probably like a month ago.
Did you give him that address?
No.
So he doesn't have that address.
He has my phone number.
Listen to me, Miss Burke. I speak English. It's my primary language. You say he's always known my address. He's always known where I lived.
From the time that he's been trying to visit his son, he has always known the house that I have stayed in.
You said that you moved.
I moved.
I don't understand. Stayed in, lived. You know, you're being slick with me. Don't be slick with me.
I'm not trying to be slick. I'm nervous,
Selby,
and he's had the opportunity.
You go to court. Establish an order of visitation. That's what you have to do. She didn't move 100 miles away. According to her, she lives no more than 10 or 15 minutes away from where you live. Is that what you're swearing to today, madam?
Yes.
But that's what you have to do.
In order, I tried, but I don't have a physical address where she is.
Well, now she just gave it to you.
Right. And in the beginning, she moved right in with Robert. So I wasn't
There's
gonna
no
go
question
visit.
about that. She identifies Robert, and Robert identifies himself as her live-in roommate.
Yeah, it's going to be very tough
Just
for
a second.
me.
Very live-in. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,500. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I have a special guest and she's my best friend and her name is Nan.
Yes, I'm Nan and yeah, we're friends since I don't know
University.
Yeah.
So Nan, how what are we going to do today?
So today we're gonna make a chicken noodles, mixed chicken noodle. So it's like a rice noodle mixed with chicken paste, or you can call it curry as well. It's a traditional dish from northern Myanmar, or we can say traditional Myanmarese food.
Yeah. And we already did some grocery shopping this morning. But before we do anything, we're gonna do something. What is that?
We're gonna have a toast!
Yay! So this is for the celebration of our collaboration.
Yeah.
Cheers!
Cheers!
Nan is explaining what kind of ingredient we are going to use. Unfortunately, I didn't record with my microphone, so I will just speak for herself. You are going to need onion, ginger, garlic, tomato, chickens, rice noodle, and spring onion. You can use any type of spring onion, but for the noodle, I think you could able to get from Jumbo or any Asian ingredient shop. And here we are just talking and gossiping about other people, so it's very lucky that we didn't able to record this funny part as well. Okay, now she's chopping the ginger, garlic, and she already chopped the onion, and I already chopped the tomatoes.